Hola Madridistas, welcome to the Champions League preview for our away trip to Atalanta. We're going to be taking on the most informed team in Italy. They've got the highest goals, the highest XG, you name it, they're probably at the top. They're fifth in the UEFA Champions League while we're all the way down in 24th. It's going to be a hard game for sure. And to break all of this down, I'm going to be joined today by our presenter from Madrid, Sid Mishra, and our resident scout in Italy, Farouk. But before we actually kick things off, this episode of the Let's Be Real podcast is sponsored by Manscaped, the kings of male grooming space. They got shampoos, deodorants, trimmers, you name it, they've got it. So head on over to manscaped.com and at checkout use code LBR20 for 20% off and free shipping. Well, yeah, man, Sid, let's kick things off. How confident are you heading into this game? Were you actually talking to fans just before this, gauging their
No,
predictions for the game?
the plan was to talk to some fans, but what happened is that by mistake I spilled a drink on my phone. So I was MIA for 24 hours. My family almost had a heart attack. Where is this guy? And I had to go to some Chinese store to repair it. So that is the story that happened.
Yeah, I
But
remember making up stories like this when I didn't have my homework at school.
no, I literally I genuinely wanted to, but it was such. If I tell, what do I say? It's a friend's birthday Saturday night,
See, there you go. The
and
real the real reason came out.
and
Yeah.
then no, and that is where it happened.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool,
that
cool,
is
cool.
where, yeah.
But yeah, man, how confident
But
are you heading into this game?
I am very confident. Vinicius Junior is back,
Is he going to be
so
back?
I'm very
Ancelotti, when he was asked, he was like, Vinny and Rodrigo, both of them are kind of iffy if they're going to be starting.
he said Ben Mbappe is gonna need some rest also last game, so I am assuming he's lying. But I'm just genuinely very confident when Vinicius Junior is in the squad.
Yep.
So that is the reason for my confidence, not the opponent. But yeah.
Yeah. How about you, man, Farouk? You've been watching a lot of Atlanta, right? Did you go to the Milan game actually?
Nah, the Milan game was also at Bergamo, man. Like access in Bergamo, it's like the shittiest place, honestly. But man, I'm not confident at all, man. I feel like the best that we can get out of that game is a draw, man. Like they could have done Milan for 5, bro. I mean, and Milan literally scored 3 at the White House. So like put one and one together. And the point is, you look like this team hasn't lost since I think the second or third week of September, bro. We're in December.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they've conceded just one goal in the UCL, bro. Just one. And that was in a game they won 6-1 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, I don't know, man. Like, with the form we're in, it's like, it's not the best place to go, but I understand, what Sid is saying. Like, the point is when you have the best player in the world on your team, like, anything can happen. But yeah, man, I'm not just as confident as he is, man.
Yeah, I mean, we got Jude Bellingham in red hot form too, but yeah, man, I think just heading into this game for most Madridistas is these stats that pop up, right? The XG, the numbers, the defensive stats. It's also scary. Do you actually want to break down some of them? I know you have a lot of stats noted down.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Like there are some stats which are like one of them already that Farooq mentioned that they're unbeaten since September, and the last time they lost was at home to Cesc Fabregas's Como. And this season, the thing about Atlanta is once they start scoring goals, they don't stop. They have scored like what? They have scored like 38 goals so far in 15 games this season. And 9 times, as in 9 plus, 9 matches out of all the season the matches they've played, they managed to score 3 plus goals, which is literally very extraordinary.
And
But
especially in Italy, it's
once
it's not
that
that easy to score those goals.
Oh, definitely. It's not that easy to score the goal, but the setup they have, the team and Gasperini's style is so heavily relying on the attack, where it's like if you see a few years back also when he had Jose Pilic and Zappa Costa and um, yeah, there's another forward from Colombia that he had. I forgot his name. And
Zapata.
Zapata, Duvan Zapata, and they used to share a lot of goals. So you do see like, their attackers, a lot of these attackers scoring like 10, 15, 18 goals a season. So when three players do that, it's already 45, 60 plus. So like depending on the quantities, and that's how they are built upon. And the fact that the one good stat that helps me is like they haven't yet scored at home in the Champions League. So they got two draws, Celtic and Arsenal, 0-0, and that is gonna be very important. And once, if you want to call me Statman Sid, I don't mind, but they have a really bad record against Spanish teams in Europe in general. In their, say, small European history, they've only won twice in the last 7 games against Spanish teams, and that happened against Valencia, I think in 2009. I think, in the group stage. No, in the quarterfinal, round of 16, when they won like over the two legs. They've lost to like Villarreal when they were placed with Man United, Villarreal, Atalanta, and one more team in 21-22 season. They lost the Super Cup to us this season. They lost to us in 2020 when Farlan Mendy, out of all people, scored a winner. And then we won the second leg, I think 2-0. But they do struggle against small, like Spanish teams. So there's a lot of like, how do I say, stat padding that is going on. But also, in a way, they have scored 11 goals in their last 3 away games. Thank God we are playing them at home right now. Because it is gonna be genuinely a difficult game, but I still feel I am a little confident.
Yeah. The thing is, like, it's not just that they're stat padding. It's they've had decent results against Napoli, against Milan, against Arsenal even. Like, these are teams that are, as we know, it's going to be really hard to beat, and then they still had good results. So I don't know, man.
To be honest, that Napoli game, I was watching that with a friend, and he's a huge Napoli fan. And when we were watching that game, they literally outplayed like Conte's team. This was like Lookman and Retegi. They were like, Napoli did not have a solution for that attack. And I remember like the Retegi, their center forward, usually he plays as a number 9 in a 3-4-3 where he's scoring, he's the target man, all the attack is centered around him. They try to create for him. That game he played as a false number 9. So he was dropping back, and the other two, that Belgian forward and Lookman, they were like going up front, and Antonio Conte had like, he was clueless what was happening. And he tried to hit them on the counter. I remember Scott McTominay, he hit the crossbar, but after that they just could not attack. It was once they started, and then once they got like the second goal before halftime, it was game over. And that also, Napoli away.
Yeah.
It was not an easy this thing, and they didn't start the season that well. By the way, their first 3 games,
They got 2 defeats
they
or
were
something,
away
right?
games. Yeah, they started the season with defeats. No, they started the season with a victory against Lecce where they scored 4 goals, but then they lost to Torino and they were thrashed by Inter Milan 4-0. But they had their first 3 like games were away games, and then after that they got a victory against Fiorentina and then lost to Como. They had a draw again, and after that they are on a 9-game unbeaten run.
Yeah. So
Like they are on a 9 winning
they've
streak,
literally
not
won
even
every
unbeaten.
game since August in the league. Then
September.
September,
Just
yeah.
September.
Yeah, September. Like September is when the September. Yeah, September end is when they lost to Como, as far as I remember. And after that, they have been different. Different beast altogether.
Yeah. It's going to be a hard one. And Farooq, we actually faced them in the Super Copa, right? So have you actually seen any difference from that game? I mean, they look pretty beatable, especially in the second half. They gave us a run for our money in the first half, but we actually caught up. And do you see that they changed up something? How are they playing so good?
They're different now, as I think the stats sheet we like you mentioned, highlighted that like the first 5-6 games of the season, like I think they lost half of that, and there was a draw there and what is not. But immediately after that game against Como, like they literally regrouped. They drew against Arsenal. I think the game against Arsenal was the springboard for them. Like that draw against Arsenal was the springboard for everything, and everything just clicked in place. And the point is, they got in new players like Belanova, Echegui, and so on and so forth. So like those players eventually, gelled into the team. And also, let's not forget, like De Cutler is basically the most important player for these guys, and he was injured when we played them as well. So this guy was back from injury, got into form as well. So the key players are back more or less, and these players gel together with this, the new input. So it's been different, honestly. Like they've literally, been able to get that form. And Mario Retegui has literally been, I don't know, like an inspiration for this team, honestly. Like he's okay, like he's like not like the most crucial player in the team, but like he's literally just fitted in there, like like literally like a glove. And they literally remind you of of the Atlanta team of the 2018s, 2017s. When you had the Zapatas, the Gomez, and those guys. Like, and the interesting thing about this team is this, which I find more interesting is you look at the lineups for the past 4, 5, 6 games, and they're different personnel every day, but the scoreline is the same. It's like 3 zeros, 2 zeros, 6 1s. It's always the same. So like this is a great thing you have about a team like this, like this Atlanta team is that there is only one person who is indispensable. It's Gasperini. Other than that, every player is just like it's a system that every player knows how to play. So it doesn't matter if it's the first choice or the third choice that starts. Eventually, the outcome is the same. So this is the most scary thing actually about Atlanta, honestly.
Yeah, for me, like I did catch the only full game that I've catched from them is the Arsenal game, and I just noticed one thing. Like with us in the Super Copa, they were kind of running around especially in the first half, doing this man-to-man pressing, right? And then they were going all out. So all it took was maybe a couple of dribbles from Vinicius or Jude. Jude had a really good game, and we were basically through on goal, and they were like vulnerable on counters, right? But since that Arsenal game, what I noticed is that they've actually become smart about their pressing. So they do definitely do the man-to-man stuff, but they do sit back sometimes when they need to. So I feel like if you don't have a system, if you don't manage to click up, especially up front, we're gonna have an even harder time. And that's the main difference for me, at least, that I've noticed. But this is just take away from one game. Yeah. And Sid, you were talking about all of these stats, right? So just looking at that XG, this is the only stat that was like super interesting to me. So they scored 38 goals the whole season, but their XG is only 28. So these guys are the forwards. They're playing out of their skin. Retegi, Lukman, and Derun. So you give them a chance, and they're probably gonna hurt us.
Yeah, man. You give them a chance, they will hurt us. And the reason for their XG also being higher than expected is their ability to get goals from different positions. So when there are times when the forward line is not finding the back of the net, there are midfielders or like wing backs who just turn up with a goal here and there, and it's just a story of the season so far for them, and a story under Gasperini. It's his the team, the identity he has made, where there are goals spread across the starting 11. Apart from the goalkeeper, probably you expect every other player to find the back of the net if given the opportunity. And the fact that when we mentioned the XG being high, and also one stat which is like no team in the Serie A has more shots on target than them. You know, and this is generally it's a very non-Serie A start, where you do only expect like say a Juve or an Inter to have that kind of stat, because they are known for scoring a lot of goals even while keeping a defensive shape. But Gasperini with his like, because is in a way after that first trophy that he got last season in by winning the Europa League, he's trying to get that confidence back that he lost in between for the two seasons where they didn't make it to Europe. And I feel now he is, slowly he started getting the team that he wanted. And even like somebody like Ederson in midfield, the Brazilian midfielder, I was reading how Fabio Capello actually called him world class. He said his physicality, his ability on the ball is what makes him world class. People don't have an eye on him, but you should, because he's genuinely turning into a world class player, and he probably might be the missing link for like Brazil leading up to the 2026 World Cup if groomed well in the squad. So they have players who, apart from the forward line, that can excel and play for the team to get results.
All scary stuff, man. I'm just not hearing any weaknesses or stuff they have. But yeah, let's get to that after I read a couple of the comments.
Actually, I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
add something
sure.
to the XG now, which is gonna be a weakness. The
Sure.
reason why the XG is high is because they miss a lot of chances. If you watch a game, before they score one goal, they have to miss 3 chances. Even
Yeah.
in the game against AC Milan, like Lukman had like I think 4 chances. I think Retegi had one chance where literally he was alone with Maignan. Also, he missed that. So this, I think, even like Smarzic, Lizar Smar, I don't know how his name is pronounced. Anyways, like the guy, Lizar guy, also like he misses a lot of chances. So like that's the thing. Like they score goals, but they miss a lot of chances as well. So like this can be something that can maybe one way or another play into the hands. Like if Thibaut fancies the game, like this is something in play into our hands. Like they have very, very like uh, uh let's not say non-prolific strikers. But the point is, when you get too much chances, eventually you score 1 out of 5.
Yeah, and we're definitely gonna give up at least 5 chances for sure. The question is, Farooq, like, can we actually hurt them? Do you think we can? We have the tools, provided we have Vinny at some point in the game. Do you think we can actually take the game to them?
Definitely, I think so. I mean, even in the game against Milan, the thing that worked the most is it's the ball behind to Leao, and he's just outrunning the centre back. So I think like that's something we definitely can exploit. Because they're gonna push up high, and I think I think the game is not gonna be similar to what we saw against Arsenal, because the point is like Arsenal is a whole. I don't know how to. I don't want to call Arsenal a defensive team, but like Arsenal has actually morphed into something different. This is just the point. Like so because of that, like Atlanta played them in that way as well. But against us, it's not gonna be the same thing. So I feel like we're gonna have that space to exploit if we can pick those passes. You understand? The passes that we saw were being picked at the weekend. You understand? Either it was due to to Arda Güler or Modric to Kylian Mbappe. If we can pick those passes, like there's space to exploit, because they do leave that space, and we have the speed to exploit that. So the question is like, can we remain onside first and foremost, and can we pick that pass second? So those are the two questions.
Absolutely, Sid. Maybe you can answer this, right? So we do maybe with prime Modric, just like we saw against Girona, and with Jude Bellingham on top form, we can expect to see at least a few balls to the forward line. But who's going to be making the runs? Do you think Mbappe is going to be making the run? Hell no. Is it going to be Brahim if he's
Man.
playing? I just don't see how we can like pick out these balls consistently.
Man, I think we will pick out these balls consistently because their setup is gonna allow us to have a lot of ball possession and create those opportunities. And the only two there are two basically. If Rodrigo starts, he's gonna make those runs. Vinny, he's gonna make those runs. Mbappe, we saw against Girona, he was making runs, and finally he was not offside when he scored a goal. So if given that opportunity from the right wing, like if he is, because the goal he scored came from the right and kind of reminded me of Mbappe from 2018 at the World Cup and his season, like at Monaco and PSG, that first season was playing on the right. So if given that position, all three of them have the ability to make runs, and we should not forget Jude Bellingham. His ability to make runs behind the centre backs, in between two centre backs, is just phenomenal. We don't highlight that enough because maybe now he's scoring a lot of goals this season in the last 5 games, but initially he was not. And last season we saw it a lot. And there was this, remember, if in the Champions League, Thierry Henry did this analysis where he was showing how Jude Bellingham was making those runs that Kylian Mbappe was supposed to make when we lost to, I think, when we lost to Milan and we somehow won against Dortmund. So, and even the victory, I think the loss, I think Lille, we lost to Lille. And in that game, he explained how Jude Bellingham was basically making those runs that Kylian Mbappe was supposed to make behind the defender, cutting between space and finding that zone where he gets the ball. But we have the players to make those runs. We do have players to we The thing is, against, like Farouk mentioned, even if the game against Milan, even games against, see, like if once they start conceding, right, like when Atlanta, see, against Milan were not clinical, I would say, but when they start conceding, before they were losing, they did concede a lot of goals. Like Inter scored 4 against them. It was, they had those, how do I say, they had those games where Como scored 3 past them. So it's not like, like they have conceded a lot of goals, like, so. And also, like, their identity, the style of play is so suspectable that they will give you a lot of chances. It's a matter of time where if we convert or not, and I feel Vinicius, Rodrigo, Mbappe, if they start up front, they would.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, I mean, for me, the concern is that Bellingham is gonna have to do a lot of running this game, and if is he gonna get enough consistent opportunities to actually make that forward run? Because for me, he's the only guy who can make the run if Vinicius is not playing, and we can't expect Vinicius is gonna be lasting the whole game if he starts at all. Yeah, remains to be seen, man.
Actually, for me, the issue is this actually, Jacob. The issue is like, as we are talking about, like making the runs is fine. But when you make the runs and no one picks you out, then what happens? Because the elephant in the room with Kylian Mbappe is this, and which everyone refuses to address, is that the guy is making the runs and no one is timing the perfect weight of the pass. There are two things. Okay, he's not saying onside, but the point also is that his passes are also very slow. We
Or
talked
they're
about this at the
overhead.
beginning of the season, like exact audio overheat. We talked about this at the season. We're a team that's full of speedsters, but for some reason we look very slow. Like the balls don't have enough weight. For instance, now we saw the goal that Arda Güler scored. It was a one pass into Jude Bellingham and straight up. There was no extra touch.
Yeah.
So the question now becomes this: okay, like as Silvio's highlighting, like Jude is making those runs. If Jude makes those runs, then who plays those balls in the midfield? Jude is not the best ball player. I know this. This is not the best he can do. But based on what we have seen so far, the little sample size, between him and Freddy and Chome, it seems like he's the one who can play those balls more than the rest. So if you're asking him to make the runs, then who fits the pass?
It's gonna
So
be
these are the questions that, okay.
That's the solutions, Carlos. Like with fielding, trying to field with this lineup, right? Either Ceballos or Modric has to be in the lineup.
You call
But that's
back
the thing,
Toni
like if you
Kroos.
see that, if you see even like honestly, when you see this Jacob, like also Ceballos, Luka Modric, whatever, they like are deep line playmakers. They clear the ball into someone who plays the final ball. Otherwise, like when have we seen Luka Modric with the most assists in the league? It's not happened because why? He's the guy who sees the movement and creates that movement for us one pass to become a goal. You understand, right? So this is the thing. You still need that person that will connect that two links. So right now, that's not working. And we saw, I mean, at the weekend, that was the best passing sequence I have seen all season from our team. The goal that Kylian Mbappe scored, the goal that Arda Güler scored.
For sure.
Simple passes, and you exploit the pace of your players. You understand? And also, we could see like the runs there, like the diagonal runs. Like Kylian Mbappe also had one which he missed as well. When you're making diagonal runs and the passes are coming on time, there is no concept of offside anymore. But the issue now becomes who plays that pass if you're asking Jude also to make the runs. So this now becomes the question as well, because we've seen that Brahim Diaz cannot do that, you understand, as well. And Arda Güler has not been trusted with such a role to see if he can or if he can't. Of course, we've seen that he can do that with Turkey as well. But these are just questions that remains, honestly. And I don't know how we would. Of course, chances will be there, but like the point is, can we be able to exploit those chances, those spaces? Will those balls, arrive eventually? So these are questions, that we will only find out tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sid, do you actually think Vinny is the guy who can actually plug that grab? Because he can do both, right? He's fast enough that he can supply the pass and he can get there at the end of the box too.
Yeah, like the reason, like Vinny is that player who can have an impact on the game individually. I was watching Spanish news today in the morning, and they were previewing the game, and one of these journalists said that Atlanta might be, say, a better team in form right now compared to Real Madrid, but you cannot deny that Real Madrid have much better individuals who could change the face of the game in a moment. And then that kind of brings me to a quote that Thomas Tuchel had said, like I think a season or two seasons back, when he said, the thing about Real Madrid is you don't expect them to score 5 seconds before the goal happens. And that's what we saw against what Jude did against Girona. When he passed to Arda Güler, it just happened. It's one pass, and we have those individuals to do that. And if we don't have players who are making those passes for our forward players, that's when also Vinny comes in. He won't shy away from taking on 2-3 defenders and creating space for other players, and one which is probably like roll the ball and pass it to the left foot, and then Rodrigo, Jude, or somebody is going to be free. And the confidence also comes from that Atalanta give you those spaces, because they will press you very high up the pitch, but in between, when you have the ball, they will stay back, and then they'll again, in their final third, they'll try to avoid giving you the ball as much, like as less as they can. And that's when Vinny's individual ability comes in, and probably even what we expect from Kylian Mbappe, like his individual ability. Even Rodrigo, who could do that. But that's the thing, like, we saw what Vinny could do against Borussia Dortmund, and a performance like that, I feel, can be, say, repeated against Atalanta. I know they are a team which are currently like great in form, but I would also say we have turned the table around over the last 1 month. I've seen like the last 1 month, maybe there were defeats against Bilbao, but we have seen some positives that were not there in the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
And Vinny coming back is a huge psychological boost to the team as well.
Definitely, man. Yeah. Just speaking to you guys, now I feel way more confident than when you read out the stats. But yeah, I'm gonna read a few of the comments and then we'll we'll actually go into the ad break. So yeah, Sunit says it's gonna be a do or die game tomorrow. I just don't want to be in the playoffs. Huh. So imagine like we don't get a result from this game, right? Would it be the worst thing? Do you think we'll still be fine, or would the pressure just be too much so that
Bro,
we'll get nervous on those
Bro.
last two games? Yeah.
bro,
What?
bro. Our middle name is playoffs, bro. There is no, bro. You're like 24.
Yeah.
What do you think is gonna happen?
He expects us to win all 3 games by 5 goals to 0 or something.
What?
And we make top 8. Not
What do you
happening,
think
dude.
is gonna happen? We're 24, like 2-4. To get away from the playoff, you need to go to number 8, bro. What do you think is gonna happen?
Bro, that ain't happening. I think the other.
Guys,
I think
I have,
the
I have,
yeah. Well, I don't think anybody
Bro,
expects us to
see,
go to
the
the
point
top
is
8 for
this.
sure. Yeah, but the question is,
The point is this.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go on, man. Go on.
Yeah, I was just saying.
was
So
just
if we
saying.
lose this game, then it's up to us to actually get a result in the last two games. I know they are easier teams, but we're still going to be panicking, and the pressure is going to be too high, man. And there's a very distinct possibility that we can go out.
No, man. I mean, the game is against Brest and Salzburg, man. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
We said the same against Lille, and we played Enric, and then look what
Bro,
happened.
Lille is in France.
Brest-
Lille is in France. Brest and
Brest
Salzburg
also
is at
is
the
in
Bernabeu.
France.
Brest is in France.
No, Brest is in France. Oh, I told you it wasn't at the Bernabeu.
No, Salzburg is at home because we've already played Stuttgart, Milan,
Dortmund.
And Dortmund at home. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, so Salzburg's making
and
4.
Brest can be dangerous, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
I mean, the point is this. Okay, so whatever happens tomorrow, we still have 2 games to win and still maintain in the playoffs. But I think even if we win 3 games, 9 points, we still don't get out of that playoff zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way.
This is
So
just the thing.
I have a disclaimer. Who was the guy who commented?
Obviously, it's Suned.
Yeah, so smoking is injurious to health, guys. People listening to this podcast. Do not follow people who comment on our podcast.
But honestly, like guys, for me, like actually, I have no issues with that because like when you look at the table, other than take away City from there, like I feel like the playoff whatever it is, man. Like I feel like we're gonna like scale it easily. I have no issues with that. I have no cons about the playoff. Okay, it's extra games that you do not want.
Yep.
But like I have no issues with the playoff at all, honestly.
Yeah, especially we're gonna have a few more players back from injury. I like a
Thank
chance
you,
to.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah, Rajat is in the chat. He says Vinny playing versus Milan when it ended 3-1, and he says I don't think Vinny will start tomorrow. He'll probably come off the bench. Yeah, I think that's what Ancelotti said also. Like when he was asked about Vinny and Rodrigo, he said their fitness is still iffy, so likely not we can't expect them to start.
Actually, I have a controversial take on that. I would rather not play Vinicius Junior at all, man. Honestly, I feel like we have been playing a game of addition by subtraction, man. This season, you put one person in, you take one person out. You put one person in, you take one person out. So the point is, we all know that Vinicius Junior is the best player in the world, by default, the best player in our team. So like, why risk it? This is a game that literally, as I've said, it's of no consequence. Honestly, in my opinion, it takes you from 24 to number 20. Then what?
Farooq, the club will not see it that way. This is like a high-profile game, and this is the Champions League. Carlos gonna be expected to field his best 11 for sure. But yeah,
I know. But
I totally agree with you,
point
man.
is,
Like, yeah, we rushed Rodrigo back and see what happened.
Exactly. This is just the point,
No,
Yeah.
but the fact that even if we don't start with him, and if like things are say a 0-0 or a 1-1 by like the 60th minute or the 65th minute mark, when the Atlanta players are tired, and when you bring on Vinny, there can be a difference.
Agreed.
And this is why his presence is gonna be like, I feel it's a psychological boost, just because I also feel there is it's maybe Atlanta have a sense of revenge of what happened in the Super Cup, but it's ours. Like for us, it's a very important game.
Yeah.
It's in a way like it's gonna make the thread more thinner, if because we are hanging by a thread, and if we lose this, it's just gonna be like, now it's like do or die. And that's where I feel Atlanta is more comfortable. They're almost there. Obviously, they're unbeaten in the Champions League. I think the only team unbeaten in the Champions League.
Mhm.
But they are like almost there
Inter
in
as
the
well.
next.
Inter, yeah.
Oh yeah, Inter also. So it's gonna be like Liverpool also. How could we forget Liverpool? So three teams, and okay, wait, yeah, three teams, but they have Atlanta have practically secured the Champions League, say, qualification.
Mhm.
For us is if we win that, and if we say our aim would be to be in the top 16, so that we could avoid the teams in the tops, like from 9th to 16th. So that is where I feel the motivation would be more. And like the Spanish media says, or like Zidane used to say, this is a final.
This is the final.
This is a final. Like this is where the series of your finals begin. If you want that, say, top 16 spot, because top 8 I feel is too far.
It's
Top
not gonna
8
happen.
is, yeah, it's top 8 is, we also have to expect 25 teams to lose, which is practically
Well,
impossible.
but see, like on a realistic base, like you look at the teams that are there, like, I think I also remember now Bayern also are really down below there. But you take out Bayern, you take out City. Which team out of from the number 9 to number 24 actually affects you?
Yes,
Not a lot.
that is also true.
Realistically, the point is like we're in shit, you understand? So whatever we do, we're in shit. So just calm down and marinate yourself in shit, bro. That's just it.
That is true. That is true. And also, like, when talking about City, they also have like, they're also like, say, they're like also in that, they're just sinking right now, and they have also difficult games coming in. They have Juve, they have PSG. I think they have one more difficult game, so it's not gonna be easy for anyone. And to not qualify, you have to be really, really bad. I don't think we are that bad yet.
Yeah, there are worse
And
teams
that's the
for
thing,
sure.
that's the interesting thing, like we all felt like this Champions League and all these extra games, oh shit, this and that, and like all of a sudden it becomes like you're looking like Bayern, you're looking like Atletico Madrid, you're looking at, I think even Juve, Man City, Real Madrid, and we're all gonna qualify because of the whole playoffs, whatever thingy. That's quite strange.
Yeah. The new format, it's like it's like the Robin Hood format, it makes it interesting, but it's just gonna be the same by when the time comes, so
For sure. Yeah. With that, let's go to the ad break, and when we come back, we can discuss the lineups. I think Rajat has a question of, is Asensio going to start at CB or is it going to be Chaumini? We're going to get to that. But yeah, Doris, take it away.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you that if you want to help and support this project of ours, this channel, you can do so by going to manscaped.com, using our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. You help us out and you get a cool product. This time I'm here to introduce you guys to the Chairman Pro. It is a trimmer that features two interchangeable blade heads, one called the 4-blade foil, which is to get that super smooth baby skin, and the other one is called the stubble trimmer, for if you want to still have that little bit of stubble but look a bit cleaner and fresher. You can do both with the same trimmer. It also features flex adjust technology. It adjusts it to your face, how you shave. You can also lock it for full precision. Best thing is waterproof. You can shave yourself in the shower if you want to. It's completely waterproof. It features 75 hours of battery life. So if you're going on a some kind of travel, you can charge it beforehand and it will still have enough battery for the trip. Also, if you're going on a trip, you can lock it so that it doesn't turn on as you go. It has an LED. It's a great thing, and especially now that Christmas is coming up, if you want to send it as a gift to your boyfriend, or if you're a man, get it for yourself or your brother, dad. It's a great gift for any man, and this bad boy can even get up to like 5 days of beard, so you don't even need to trim it down before you can fully shave it. This does it for you. So yeah, get this at manscaped.com. Use our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping.
Yeah, we're back, folks. But yeah, we were just discussing about City's easy games and whatnot, and Inter, singing praises of Inter. They haven't conceded a single goal in the Champions League. Right. Where are you going to
And our
start?
goal difference is 0. So please repeat that.
I didn't want to mention it on the podcast, but yeah, our goal difference is literally 0. That's where we're at.
We are called Let's Be Real for a reason.
That's
You
true.
gotta be real.
That's true. So where do you guys want to begin? Let's start with that question, right? Do you think Asensio will actually start at centre back, or has he actually lost his spot? Because we know Carlo likes his tried and tested starting lineups. Go for it, sir.
Farooq, you start?
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'll go. I feel so. In Spain, there's this talk about how I've already mentioned this before, but there's not a lot of trust in Germany. They don't still feel that he had those first few months, first 5-6 months, he was really like good, and the way he replaced Casemiro, and after that, fans have started to judge him on his performances, and they are not convinced. And there was a report by, I think, Marca or El País, which said that how Carlo Ancelotti and the coaching staff, they look at Germany more as a centre back right now, and if he stays at the club and is not sold, they want to mold him into a centre back more, because they want Kamavinga to take that position, and then it's gonna be whatever happens, like if he's a good, because as a center back he's really good because he's very good at blocking, but his pressing in, then his positioning is what costs him. Like I remember I saw this video against, when I was watching this Girona highlights, and this Spanish Instagram influencer was explaining that everybody is having a straight defensive line for the offside trap, and then there was Chouameni who was like 3 yards behind the center forward, giving up so much space for make a run and everything. And that's where these small things do make a difference. And if you give so much space to these Atlanta forwards, they could change. So I would want Asensio to start because he looks like a center back. His mentality is more like a center back, a Spanish big, tall, huge center back, and I would want him to be in the starting 11.
Oh. But Farooq, that means that Xiaomini has to play at CDM because he's not going to be out of the lineup, right? Is that going to work out for us, especially for this game?
I mean, the point is, it's not like we have a lot of alternatives right now. This is the issue as well. Like the issue is to play double pivot with Dani Ceballos and Fede Valverde. That's the alternative you have, honestly. So for me, actually, like I feel like eventually, like Asensio has done really well. Honestly, superseded all the expectations that I have. But I still feel like playing with Tchouaméni is just it's the more, how can I say, it gives you a common presence, whether you like it or not as well. Like that ball playing ability that Tchouaméni used to have is still there. You can still feel it, and also gives you an outlet from the center back option actually. So this is why for me personally, like I would rather have Tchouaméni start as a CB. As a long term plan, I really don't see that, because we have seen that so far at least he hasn't shown to be a high level center back. Neither has he shown to be a high level defensive midfielder as well. So it's been very strange for him this season, continuing from the bad form of last season as well towards the end. So it's just it's a bit it's a bit strange situation that you have for all the Tchouaméni. But for right now, we lack bodies, so like the what he can provide so far, I think it's okay. But I think when Kamavinga comes back, I do feel like it seems like it works better with Kamavinga as the CDM and Chouameni out of the team. If we have a fully fit team. But for now, I think that ball playing ability that he has remains a positive for our defense.
Yeah, for sure. And with regards to Choumini's ball playing abilities, like at the center of the park, right? He's definitely not as good as Kamavinga, man. So definitely, over all of the defensive deficiencies that he has, like Kamavinga just improves the team with his ball playing ability. Yeah.
And the other thing you also see with Kamavinga is that, which I would not say a lot about Chouameni, is that you can actually see Kamavinga growing. Like there's improvements in there. You understand? But I think that's not something you can say very confidently about Chouameni. Of course, like he has improved also as a footballer, but not at the rate that you would expect him to have grown. It's that's the thing. Like he's more like, I don't want to use the word stagnated, but like he hasn't progressed as expected.
Like the kind of impact that we expected from Chouameni when you are Real Madrid's defensive midfielder, it's a very say probably one of the most difficult positions to play in world football, I would say. And that also being at Real Madrid, and the impact we expected has not been replicated. And there were times where we have been caught off guard because of his positioning, or a ball that he misplaced, or a run that he didn't make, or a man he should have pressed and he did not, and that has led to a direct goal. So that's where he is not critical enough, because sometimes, say Kamavinga, he does not fear when he has to tackle when he's pressing and he's lost his man, but he's just gonna go 2 foot in and he's like, I get the ball or I stop the attack. That stop the attack part is sometimes missing from Shawnee. That killer edge sometimes that you need, that makes a small difference. So
absolutely, yeah.
it's a very
Defending in transition is like we've seen it time and time again. Germany just once the player gets past him, he just does not make another effort. But Kamavinga is always there, always trying to tackle or foul him at least.
Yeah. And I don't know, and obviously like the center back situation is a little, say, difficult, but kind of connects me to the points where we were talking before. Like Raul Asensio also has the ability to play those long balls when he can spot a run. I think he did that against Osasuna when he found Jude Bellingham when he had just come on after, I think, Militao got injured.
Yep.
And he did try that at Liverpool also, where the runs are not being connected, but he was making that attempt to break those sudden lines with his long balls, and then so he has the ability to do that, which I feel sometimes Chouameni might not even attempt. That just one haywire long ball that could just gonna catch the defense off guard. So he has that in him also.
For sure, yeah. And that was pretty much the only good takeaway from that Liverpool game, right? Asensio had a decent game.
Yeah. Asensio, I feel it's a surprise that we didn't see coming, I feel, and that's a good surprise.
Yeah.
Otherwise, rarely do you see these Castilla players coming in and blending in so fast and so well.
Yeah.
So
especially if Carlo, I feel like he actually trusts Asensio, and then that's why he was actually arrested against Girona as well.
Yeah, could be, and they need to be spaced out, man. The calendar is such where you can't expect a Castilla player to transition, start playing for the first team and playing a match every 3 days. So I felt that was a good move by Carlo Ancelotti.
Absolutely, props to him. Before we head into the lineups, I want to address this comment by Rahul. So yeah, he's always there. He's an athletic fan. So Sid, maybe you can take this because you're used to dealing with a lot of athletic friends. He says, remember Real Madrid bitches, you are facing a good Italy side. Scoring over there is tough and they're good in attacking as well. Mark my word, tomorrow is the real show. Are we going to get humiliated? What would you reply to that?
Man, how personal can I be?
Go for it. Like you said, let's be real.
Yes, there is a Spanish chant. I don't know how much Spanish does it speak, but it basically goes something along those lines that the life continues every year. but some things don't change. They cried in Lisboa and they cried in Milan, and some things don't change because life continues. But yeah, it will be it's gonna be a difficult game for sure. It's gonna be a difficult game. I'm genuinely, because of the way Atalanta are playing, and also they always score at home. That's a stat that I forgot to mention, but they always score at home. They've never, like, not scored at home this season. But I feel Atlanta has less to play for than us. This is why it could be. And obviously we did lose against, say, Milan, Barcelona, Liverpool. But if you have to, like, coming from an Atleti fan, they should know much better that if you have to, say, trust a team in the Champions League, it has to be Real Madrid. Like, there is no other team you want, who could do the unexpected. And even Carlo Ancelotti said in his press conference today that tomorrow will be the most difficult game of the season. This is after playing Barcelona and Liverpool, so it's not like we are undervaluing Atlanta in any way.
Yep.
It's never, there is no sign of disrespect. There is no sign, say, oh, we're gonna smash them. They are top of the table. They just won the best coach of the month in Serie A, the best player of November, Retegui and Gasperini respectively. But what I trust is in the individual abilities of our squad to make a difference there. And also, after beating them in the Super Cup, I feel we can get a result there. We can. It's not like Atlanta is gonna go, say, winless the entire like go on that winning streak the entire season. Sometimes they have to lose, be it 9 games, 10 games, 13 games. But am I confident that we could get a result there? Yes, because of the individual qualities that we have in our squad. That's it. And what I saw against Girona kind of showed that there is something more than what we saw in the first 2 months of the season. So I'm hoping that continues. Now, whatever happens on the pitch. But there's no, like, yeah, it will be difficult, but it's ready for the challenge, like, to take them on. There is no other option.
Yeah, if anyone can like beat
I
a
mean,
goals, like winning streak, it's gonna be a Real, man. We just pull off the unexpected. Yeah, man, Farooq, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to go back to Seed. I keep hearing Seed saying the individual quality. He's relying on individual quality. I do used to remember the Seed I know is the one who used to tell me that Carlo Ancelotti is the second coming of Jesus Christ. He's gonna cure world hunger and cure cancer, remove poverty from the surface of the earth, and shit like that. And today I'm hearing you tell me that, yeah, it's not about the coaching, it's just about the individual talent on the pitch. Come on, man, what happened?
Man, you just forgot who's the defending Champions League winner. An Italian who goes by the name of
See,
Carlo
Farooq.
Ancelotti.
You speak
I
to
mean,
any
bro.
any Ancelotti stand. This is the response that you get, Farooq, and you have no arguments against it.
No, no, it's more like, because this season he has struggled to find that chemistry that we expected, that he would find very fast with Kylian Mbappe. And like, how do I say, it has been a challenge for him to say, instill Kylian Mbappe in that team. And today in the press conference, if you guys remember, like, there was literally no questions on Kylian Mbappe until the last one. And Carlo was like, for finally this season, I would have had one press conference without Kylian Mbappe. But you, that journalist, you spoiled it, And then he's like, it slowly is going to happen. And the injuries, say, haven't helped, but he has tried to find multiple solutions. I also feel this we don't have the squad depth that we should have had. Our transfer window is again a different podcast altogether. But tell me, like, if this is like, if say this is the squad and everybody is performing so bad, which other manager would have kept you, say, second in La Liga, 2 points behind Barcelona, and then, say, hanging by a thread of the Champions League?
Yep.
So it's that.
Hanging by a thread.
Yeah, like it's not the best way to say it, but other people could have.
Yeah,
The
we're still alive.
replacement
Especially in La Liga, man. Like, you gotta give props with the squad that he has. With nobody expected this many number of injuries. Just see what happened to Pep. He absolutely collapsed just with a couple of them. Not having De Bruyne, that just kills managers. And Carlo has time and time again proved his haters wrong.
and Carlos not gonna do things like this.
Yeah.
He could do this because 7 Champions League titles, but 2 as a player.
I mean, the point is, we need to call a spade a spade. Like dealing with injuries is part of the sport. It's part and parcel
Yeah.
of the sport. Last season, he dealt with 3 ACL injuries and still came out with a double. You
Wait,
understand?
did you praise Carlo?
But I'm just
Say
saying.
that
I'm
again.
trying to. I'm telling you, this is just the truth. Like we
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
come here and we can't come and saying this. Like Barcelona lost how many players? Who is playing for Barcelona? When? How? So that's the thing. Like they played, I think, a year without what's it called?
Pedri and
Without
Gavi.
without Pedri, without Gavi. Frankie De Jong was out for a while. Araujo is out. Ter Stegen. So it's yeah, you can, and new coaches coming in. Lewandowski is rejuvenated. They brought back Rafinha. Whatever. So there are things here and there. And like the point about being back in the title race with Barcelona, it's just that Hansi Flick lost his shit. That's just the thing. It's not about like the fact that Real Madrid were flawless. We literally went to Bilbao and like we're schoolboys against men. That's just the thing. So it's not like literally just less than 8 days ago we were in Bilbao and we were like literally boys against kids. So that's the thing. So it's not like a magic is happening somewhere and like we're refusing to see that. But of course there are challenges with the adaptation, man. So this is just the thing. Like every coach has to adapt new players and shit like that. But I don't know, man. I just personally feel like Carlo is no longer the guy for this. Of course, like individual brilliance, as you said, Carlo is the guy for individual brilliance. He's gonna allow players to show their things. But the point is, when these players do not perform at the level that they're supposed to, then shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
That's like two sides to the coin.
Yeah.
With Carlo.
Problem is, I agree with both sides, both from your perspective, Sid and Farouk. But yeah, it's a topic for another podcast. Let's go through the lineups quickly, guys. So in defense, we don't have a lot of options, right? It's going to be Lucas Vazquez, Asensio, Rudiger, and Mendy's out. So it's going to be Fran Garcia.
Yep.
Yeah. Better also, I feel.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It remains to be seen. Against these high-pressing teams, I don't know. Fran Garcia might not be the man that we want, but he's the only guy we have.
I mean, but Mendy has also lost that, like the form. Like Mendy has been literally a shadow of himself as well, like defensively. So I just think like if you're not getting that defensive output from Mendy, I just think it's not worth it in my opinion. So I think like Fran has been the better defender this year and the better attacker as also. Just it's better for him to be there.
Yeah, no complaints there. So yeah, Sid, do you want to walk us through your expected midfield lineup?
Jude, Modric, and Fede Valverde.
Yeah, so are you saying Arda might be playing? Let's assume that, Vinny and Rodrigo both don't get a start.
Yes, then I expect it's going to be Mbappe, Brahim, and Arda.
Okay.
Oh, wow. No, Dani Ceballos. Bro, come on. Ceballos has been good, man, when he's played.
No, I just trust Luka Modric in these big games. And this season, like Carlo's idea was also to have Luka Modric in those big games. To be honest, I kind of like Dani Ceballos also. He can control games in a way that none of our players can.
Yep.
But he's also susceptible to like pressing. Like I feel he could do that more in Spain. Gasperini team, which is going to press you so high up the pitch, he could. But I feel because Luka Modric had a good performance against Girona also. So, so I feel this is why I feel this could be the midfield three.
How about you? For
actually, I was thinking more of a midfield four with Brahim and Mbappe starting up top and Arda dropping to the bench. So that's why I feel like it might most likely be like a Modric and Ceballos playing together, and up top, with Brahim Diaz and Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, but we're just gonna have to watch out for Ceballos giving the ball away, in a bad position. That's always part of his game. He definitely has that mistake in him at least once a game.
Yeah, and also we haven't spoken about our away form. Now I think about the guy from Atleti who commented. Now I also feel bad. I didn't highlight our away form, man. We have been pretty below the line, I would say, it comes to away games this season.
Yeah,
that's a huge concern too. Now I feel a little scared again.
Don't be scared, man. We got this. So, yeah, I have no complaints with that. Personally, I don't think both Modric and Ceballos are going to start. That's just not been Carlos' formula so far. He's never played that lineup yet, right? So, I believe one of them will start, and it's probably going to be Modric. Maybe Ceballos comes on in the second half. But yeah, we might need him to actually get out of the press. And I just feel like it's going to be another horrible first half. And second half, we might try to do something. We just need to be alive. for the second half. Let's see.
Yeah, and I just read this news which is on Twitter, which says that I think Giorgio Scalvini has suffered an injury in training for Atlanta and he'll be out. So they have in a total of say 4 injuries also. So just like a, how do I say, good point for us,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is lacking these days.
Yeah, man.
Scalvini is a really good young centre back also.
Yeah. And they have say good, they have Cuadrado is also out because of an injury, right?
Yeah.
Zappa Costa is out. Gianluca Scamacca is also out for them.
Yeah,
But
out of
yeah,
the season, Scamacca.
yeah.
Yeah, either way, it's like not. It's not a super important game for them. I'm pretty sure. Even if there's a hint of injury, they're probably gonna rest them. But yeah, I think this is one important point, right? Up front, it's gonna be Mbappe and Brahim, of course, unless somehow there's a surprise Rodrigo and Vinny start somewhere. I don't think it's happening. But how about the Atlanta forward line? Is Basilic actually gonna be playing, or is Retegui actually gonna start the whole game? What do you think, Farooq?
Wait,
Man, I'm not too sure, man, because like he's always, shuffled around, like with Lukman and Pasalic and De Cutler or like Retegi coming in. So depending on who starts, like De Cutler like sometimes supports the striker, like plays as a 10, whatever it is. But I do think like tomorrow that I think they're just gonna try to continue with the form they had against AC Milan because like they had success with Charles De Cutler and Ademola Lukman with Pasalic supporting them. So I think like Kratigi might be brought on to like kind of stretch the defense as time goes on and stuff like that. So I would expect De Cutler and Lukman to start as well tomorrow.
word by word agree with Farouk. That's my expectation also. I expect that front line. In midfield, though, I feel it's gonna be like Belanova and then Martin Derun and Ederson and then Ruggeri. So like that's gonna be like, how do I say, 2 wing backs with 2 midfielders for a 3-4-3. So that's how they're gonna function, I feel.
Yeah, spot on. I think that too. Before we go, there's a couple more comments from Ashik. First one is for you, Farooq. He says, Farooq puts up an anti-Carlo facade. He is in denial. He actually likes Carlo. Is that true? Are you like putting on this persona for this podcast?
That's the thing. Like, I mean, like I eventually have become the person who is like anti-Carlo and all that. I am not that anti-Carlo. I've already just said this. It's the truth. Like, do you want Mourinho to manage your team right now? No, but Mourinho, in my opinion, is the greatest coach that I've seen coach Real Madrid. Like, he's my favorite Real Madrid coach of all time. So this is the thing. But I don't want Mourinho to come back and coach Real Madrid right now. So this is the thing. It's about the fact that like Carlo is a great coach. He was a phenomenal coach. But it's time to take a step away. That's just the thing, like it's I don't know, it's just like it's not about like hating Carlo. No, like I mean, you have to be a stupid person, like to be in denial of what Carlo has achieved or whatever. But the point is, I just feel like right now with the level of talent we have, the output we're getting from this team is just not enough.
Yeah, and
this is just the thing.
Yeah, definitely. And he also
and
says,
I think I would just go back to the thing. I think it was Steve who was saying like Real Madrid scores a goal. And like 5 seconds before, you don't expect them to score a goal, bro. Like this is not fucking Stoke City, bro. Like I mean, what do you mean?
No, but
what do you mean 5 seconds before? I know. Like you said, like Thomas Tuchel said it, right? So
yeah. So
and I know, of course, this is the general. Even last season, we had discussion with Jacob as well. Like we play matches, we win, but you never expect Real Madrid to win those matches. We never play like we're gonna win those matches.
Yeah,
you understand?
But that's like a 125-year-old identity that has become. Never.
Of course, it's an identity, but the point is that when we played with Mourinho, we were demolishing teams. When Zidane was here in the first stint, we were winning games comfortably.
Yeah, like winning games and we were looking good doing it.
Exactly, we were looking good doing these games, man. Like we went to Juve at the stadium where they were not conceding any goals. We scored 3 goals. And we came out of it in Italy when the BBC was the BBC. I mean, like the defensive BBC, not our offensive BBC. Like they went there. Like
I have no clue where this is going. Are we talking about Brest here or Atalanta?
Bro, it's Bonucci, Brazzali, and Chiellini, man. Calm your tits, bro. Calm your tits.
Calm your tits.
Sorry, it's just
No, I'm
watching
just saying, like, of course, I understand what we mean by like this is the Real Madrid mentality, this is the Real Madrid ideology. I know this, but like we shouldn't pretend like even when Carlo first came to this team in 2014, we went to Germany, we scored 6 against Schalke. We went to the same Germany, we scored 4 against Bayern Munich, Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich, while looking
Man,
phenomenal. You understand?
but
But now we come and everyone is like, oh, this is Real Madrid's identity, bro. Like the Real Madrid I watched for the past 13 years did not have this identity. We weren't going to, I don't know, Girona and like, oh God, please let's come out.
no, but on the other side, it's more like, see, when you talk about Carlos, say Mourinho to Carlo and that Zidane, that phase, look at the players that we had. Did we have a player who was like Ferland Mendy? Did we have a Lucas Vasquez who was starting matches? Did we have? It's.
Yeah, there are levels to
I'm
this
not
game.
saying
I
we
mean,
did.
but
There,
still,
there,
I
there's
think,
levels.
yeah, there are levels. But then,
yeah,
man said you gotta agree. Like he's not getting the best out of this team, right? That's for sure.
but he won 2 Champions League titles in 3 years. What more do you want?
Of course,
That's also a
I cannot,
point.
I cannot argue against that. That's the
2 La
point.
Ligas
Like,
also in 3 years. It's
I cannot
practically
argue against that, definitely. But what I'm just saying to you is about the point is this, like,
you see. You want to talk about matches? I talk about trophies.
of course,
That's a
that's the
debate.
thing. Of course,
Do
we
you
agree, but
understand?
the issue now becomes this: see, like when you don't win games, then these are becoming more glaring. When team, as I said, like it's an individual team. When the
Yeah.
players do not play to the peak, then you see these problems. Right now, what have we talked about with Gasperini? As you rightly mentioned, the 2 stints he had before the 2 years where they were absent of Europe. He could literally play different 11s every week, and it's the same performance.
Man, that's how do I say it? That's like that's from his resources that he could have got, like yeah. And Carlo, see, I'm not like I'm very happy with how they are getting results. I'm not saying that, but I genuinely don't feel, say, this last 3 years we didn't have the best squad in Europe or best squad in Spain. I would say sometimes where we managed to get over the line. This is why I say he's maybe like maybe obviously if a different coach comes in next season, probably it's gonna be like either very different, like he gets that. But if he doesn't get trophies, he's gonna be packing his bags. He might win 5-0 against Girona.
I know, I agree, But the point
It's
again,
that's
in here, see, as well is that you have to highlight the fact that okay, we had Cristiano who was like a beast. Then you had like the Modric, the Cruzes, the Xavi Alonso's. Okay, that's fair, that's good. But right now, the best player in the world is Vinicius Junior. Jude Bellingham is in the top 5 best players in the world. Thibaut Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world. Rudiger was the best defender in the world last year. Dani Carvajal is the best right back in the world. You want to go back to that era? Arbeloa wasn't the best right back in the world. Okay, Marcelo was the best one. Sergio Ramos was the best one. Varane
Pepe
was
was the
in
best
between
one.
somewhere in there. You understand? And then you come to the midfield. Sami Khedira wasn't the best, but he was somewhere in there. Of course, like the Alonso's and those guys, we're crazy. We're on a different level. You understand? So what I'm trying to say is that, of course, there's levels to these things. The quality of football has dropped a lot. In the past, there is no fucking way a player like Chouameni or Camavinga is playing for Real Madrid. This is just the truth. When we were playing with Xavi Alonso's and the Mesut Ozils, where are they even going to come to Real Madrid from? With all due respect, Vinicius Junior is the player that Real Madrid that represents Real Madrid for me right now. But during those days, man, like Vinicius, bro, he has to tie the laces of Robinho, not even to talk of Cristiano, man. That's just it, So this is, like there are levels to this. I agree, but right now on the current market, Vinicius is the best player in the world.
And man, if he's the best player in the world, the other side of the argument is also like he has won 2 Champions League in 3 seasons to become that best player in the world. I do expect Carlo to have some kind of say playing style where that we didn't see in the say last first 2 months at least. I do expect that to him by the time it's January, he has got that sorted so that he could probably try to look more convincing, rather than just getting results. And it's like, and also like if you see this season, a lot of things, obviously the transfer market, we didn't replace Tony Kroos the way we should have. The preseason, half of our players didn't turn up, and then they're playing 3 games every day. So it's a and then if you keep on adding, say I'm not like it might sound I'm giving excuses, but it's more like injuries, and then he has to like face all of that. And I genuinely feel I also feel it's gonna be his last season. Whatever happens, I feel like even if he wins or not, I feel he goes out because at Real Madrid after a few years you need a change so that a motivation comes back again. It, I feel it's like there's this potential that you can reach with certain personnel and that you need a change.
Yeah, and
Probably that's
Carlo has
the
always
same
had
thing
this
might be
3-year
happening.
cycle at almost every club he's gone to as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing happening with Pep right now. If you see, like with his all playing style, who should look convincing and everything, he has become basically what he said he was not. He's acting more like Mourinho than he like Mourinho would have. So when things go wrong, it's very say is the easiest thing to do is to blame a manager and just like we get because you can't sack 10 players.
Bro,
But
bro, bro. We
but
come here and we sit here like we won the Champions League in 2022, like we were playing vintage football.
oh, but man, when I was
You
in the
understand?
stadium, that was beautiful, man.
I know, but the point is, how did you win the Champions League in 22? How did you win the Champions League in 24? You understand? So the point is,
It's
I'm not highlighting isolated events here, Sid. I'm highlighting a wider picture. We are winning trophies, but how are we winning trophies based on individual talent? You cannot deny
and
this. There is no
see,
team in this Real Madrid right now. Like the point is, we are not performing as a team. When you consider the talents that we have in this team, we should be performing more. We shouldn't literally be going every game 3-0 down and coming back 3-3, 4-3. This is not. This should not be happening.
man, that is, I completely agree with you. Like, genuinely, like, it's not a, how do I say, it's not a debate that we should not be doing, like, winning things convincingly. But how do I say, like, how many managers are there in the world who could change this situation right now?
Which situation? The situation we are in right now.
Yeah. The names that are linked, then, say, for example, Carlo goes on. The media is talking about Solari coming in. I'd rather have Carlo finish the season in a
So
new
what?
direction.
Larry.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. When you won't get Xavi Alonso mid season. Probably
Yeah.
the only guy you could get is say Zidane or Thomas Tuchel, both two great managers free.
Nah, Tuchel is in England right now, so you can get Tuchel as well.
Yeah, so he's out. So like the only great manager free is Zidane, who would never say no to Real Madrid. Like, but how do I say like I also feel Carlo deserves to not get sacked and leave. Like
No, no, I don't
if
think Carlo get. I think irrespective of what happens, unless if it's like a very stupid, catastrophic run of form, Carlo runs out the season. I think actually Carlo is also here next season. I do think
yeah.
Carlo is still here next season, but I understand the point you're making in the sense that okay, like who is available on the market right now? Of course, yeah, I know there is no one. There is no one to replace Carlo, and I'm not asking for Carlo to be sacked right now to be replaced. You understand? But I do believe that there are coaches that will have gotten better out of this team than Carlo is getting. This okay, not gotten better because when you say get better means like win trophies, but that will make the team play better than Carlo is. But of course, if you want a one shot, just okay, have a dressing room full of stars, go and play your football and win trophies. Yeah, Carlo is the guy. You understand? But the point I'm just trying to make is that like I always get this, what you're saying, like this is Real Madrid's 125-year history. Like this is the thing, like I have watched Real Madrid for 13, 15 years. Like this is not the Real Madrid I came to know and love. We okay, yeah, we were winning or not winning or whatever, but I mean, come on, like you know very well. See, Mario Pellegrini with I think it was 94 points or 93 points or whatever
Yeah,
it was, bro. That
highest
was a
point tally.
phenomenal team, man. But we didn't win. But you can never fault Pellegrini. You can never fault Pellegrini.
Yeah, like he did the best. Like Pellegrini got the highest points tally that time, which was broken by Mourinho 2 seasons later. But say when we talk about also like individual brilliance, right? Like when we get say a manager who would have an identity of how the team plays, right? You would limit how Carlo gives those freedom to players like Vinny who could express themselves. So that is gonna be say you can't expect Vinny to play tactically like say play by play. Vinny doesn't thrive on that. This is why Carlo is there, who was trying to say get the best and say that 2021-22 season, like say like, obviously the way we didn't win was convincing, but then it's how you say it, right? It's the never say die attitude.
Yeah.
It's how you tell the story. right?
True.
Different
That-
And of course,
perspectives.
like
Yeah.
we loved it as well. Like it's something that you love as well. But the point is like you don't want to be, like your pulse to be racing 100 and whatever it is per second.
It's
So,
not
but
healthy,
of
as a
course we
fan
loved it.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I aged 5 years that
remember.
season.
Well, I remember I was there for that Man City game, and I'm telling you, this is it's an honest story. This is the 88th minute of the game, and I'm telling this socio who's next to me, some 50-year-old guy, is telling it's a great season. My first season in Spain, we won La Liga, Champions League semi-finals. What more did I expect? And he literally tells me, "Your first season, right?" I was like, yeah. He's like, "The match is not over yet. There's 5 minutes to go." In that belief, man, that belief. And then in 2 minutes, Rodrigo scores twice, and I'm looking at him. He winks at me, and he just this, and then we both look at each other and like, now Karim. It's just that belief which is there, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the stadium, there's a different kind of, even things are not going like, if you remember when the fan cam we had with Ashik, and when Kylian Mbappe scored, Ashik came on fan cam and he said, I didn't expect this, but the fans were backing Mbappe like the ultras. And because it's the belief that exists in the stadium, it was never about, say, there is about this flair, there's this, but there's never about, say, tiki taka. You have to win. You have to win. And now it's become like a tradition in a way that the first half is frustrating and second half you start playing. Like they say, but obviously someday it will change. But I don't see many managers getting the best of these players. I literally, because I don't feel these players, apart from a selected few, I feel who who can play in a system play by play tactically. They need to they thrive on their individual ability and the bond they have tactically and off the field with the players to get results. This is
Well said.
this is why I feel, and I feel this is why Carlo gets in like the best of these players. Like otherwise, if the things are going wrong, it's very easy that Real Madrid managers players just take a back seat, man. The manager has to go. Like when Vinny say when this against Osasuna, if you remember, the fact that Vinicius Junior went on to celebrate with Carlo Ancelotti, he was also saying that it's, how do I say, it's not all him and his coaching staff. And we have heard like people are doubting Pintus in the squad, man. And it's just a negativity I feel, but it's also maybe it's just the Carlo Ancelotti bias that I have. I have a scarf behind which I keep on, Il Capo, but it's the dynamics that he has, and as always, it's like a sense of achievement that he has and that he can get is what keeps the faith and belief. It's the phenomenal season Pellegrini had. Like genuinely enjoyed Kaka, Benzema, Higuain play everything. Ended up him being sacked, even though it was historically the best season till then. So that how it's such a cutthroat environment where maybe the playing style sometimes takes a back seat to prioritize results.
Yeah, I agree
If
with
you
that. That's true. Like it's a game about results, but I do think going back to the Pellegrini thing, and then we can end this because it will never end. I think the only reason why Pellegrini got sacked was because Mourinho was available. If Mourinho wasn't available, Pellegrini would have continued, and I definitely agreed for that. I mean, bro, with all due respect, even if it was my father, man, I would have sacked him and brought in Mourinho, man. That's just the thing.
until then, Mourinho was also the hottest property, man. Won the Champions
Exactly,
League at the
exactly,
Bernabeu.
exactly. Mourinho
He
was
was
the
the
hottest
man.
property
He
on
was
the
the
market.
man. Yeah.
Man, I actually I don't know when our editor, I'm saying when Sunaid will edit it. My God, please cut that out. We actually went and spoke to the fans about, said who they had to rank, say Mourinho, Ancelotti, and Zidane in order their preference. And the thing about, say, obviously Zidane was legend and legendary coach. Ancelotti for what he's done is, but with Mourinho it was vibes, man. They were like Mourinho, that Madrid, this more feeling that he had, right? That he instilled back. That he was, when, like, to one word to describe Mourinho is his box office.
Definitely,
You are either getting a
definitely,
blockbuster or you're either getting a super flop. So there's no in
definitely.
between, and he's entertainment.
No,
He's
sure.
but obviously the football, like the teams he was also facing, they were more edgier, like
Yeah.
Barcelona and the Simeone team. When they beat us in the Copa del Rey final, I remember Ronaldo got a red card, and
Yeah,
the
you actually
fights
needed
in-
warriors in those days to actually get a result.
Yeah.
Look at the teams now, man. Like
Game's gone. Game's
look
gone too
at
soft.
Barcelona.
I mean,
Too
that's the
soft.
thing. Like, when you ask someone now, like when you ask, I mean, people now to talk about Mourinho, and they be like, "Oh, Mourinho is an ultra defensive coach and this and that." I'm like, bro, did you watch Mourinho at Inter? Did you watch Mourinho at Real Madrid, bro? Come on, how would you like label your okay? Yeah, like Mourinho built a team on defensive foundation, but like those transitions that they make, man, you can literally go and watch a 1 hour YouTube highlight
Yeah.
of transitions Real Madrid made during under Mourinho. 1 hour, bro. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's that. Mourinho was as you said, man, box office. He was everything, man. He was
And
the Real Madrid of coaches, man.
And he was so unlucky, man. He out of all the coaches, he deserved the Champions League with Real Madrid more.
Yes, yeah, I
Like,
totally
He deserved
agree
it more,
with
but
that.
I mean, this is what happens to Mourinho, man. After 3 or 4 seasons, like he loses someone in the dressing room, and then it's all gone.
I mean, yeah, definitely. That 11-12 season where like Kaka missed a penalty, Ramos missed a penalty, and Cristiano missed a penalty. Like, these are three people that you would bet your life, your house, everything, would never miss penalties.
All in.
it's just
Yeah.
and even like the Barcelona one, that unfair red card to Pepe, and even
Man, that semi-final was crazy. And the thing about that, like that, as you said, like with Mourinho, like it's all or nothing. There is no in between. It's box office, So I think like that push was too much, man. The games against Barcelona literally became like, and like I was in like secondary school, then high school, basically, and we were fighting. Like, I mean, literally fighting. Like, I'm not saying like I'm not talking about arguing. Like, literally fighting. Like, grabbing, punching. Like, that's how it became. It like went outside of the field, not just like Pepe was pulling this. No, like, man, crazy shit, man. Like,
man, the things he used to say, right, to motivate players. Like now, because I understand Spanish, one of my favorite things when I'm bored is I go on YouTube and I search Jose Mourinho press conferences. Man, he said in a press conference that he's talking about Benzema and Higuain, and Benzema was not in form and he's not the striker they hoped that would be from Leon, and he said, you go out. So when you have to hunt, you have a hunting dog. But when your dog is ill, you have to go hunt with a cat. He called Benzema a cat, and it was. I'm just like, my God, you can't say things right now. Imagine Ancelotti saying things like that. Like, I think there's a player called Pedro Leon, and the Spanish media were like, Pedro Leon has to play. He's Spanish, blah blah. And he was like, why are you guys talking about Pedro Leon like he's a Maradona or Pele? He's Pedro Leon. Like, I'm sorry, I see him like in training every day. So and I was like, my God, managers can't say these things right now.
They don't make press conferences like they used to.
Yeah, man. And remember, like the semi-final, like Inter Milan versus that Pep team, and I remember his quote. He's like, he says something like, "For us, for Inter, as in Inter, to win the Champions League is a dream. For Barcelona, it's an obsession, and the obsession is called Santiago Bernabeu and Real Madrid because the final was at the Santiago Bernabeu, and when then Pep Guardiola comes in." And they're like, oh, and the first question I remember is, what would it feel like to win the Champions League at the Santiago Bernabeu? You ask any Catalan person, bro, he would give his life to do that. And you could see Pep is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win the and that's where he was just like, now I'm gonna park the bus. Whatever happens, I'm gonna get that done. So it was very like, how do I say? And he won the first like 3-1 to make it so comfortable for himself that he could park the bus. People don't talk about the first.
Exactly, that's the thing. People don't talk about that 3-1. That 3-1 was a fucking masterclass, man. I think the game at the Camp Nou wasn't the masterclass. That 3-1 was the game. That 3 game was phenomenal. Holy God, man. Shit.
Oh, man. Man, for me, it's like Mourinho is probably my top 3 coaches of all time. Like, so it's like,
for me, man, he's number 1, man. Mourinho, he's my favorite.
He's a special
coach.
one.
But as I said, like, it's the same. Exactly. The same feeling I have with Mourinho is right now I don't want Mourinho to coach Real Madrid. This is just the truth. But like, he's my favorite coach of all time. So this is just the reality of things. Time changes, things move past. It's normal, man. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That was a
It
good.
will change after Ancelotti also, and maybe
Hmm.
5 years down the line when we preview probably Palermo versus Real Madrid or something, and we like there'll be a new manager and it'll be like, do you remember the never say die attitude against when we had Carlo? We were 2-0 down and we would come from behind.
Tactical masterclasses on display. Yeah. But yeah, guys, I had to check if it's still live or if it was just a background conversation that we're having. But this is still the Atlanta preview. But yeah, let's do predictions and end this, and maybe schedule another podcast just to talk about old coaches and then rank them in a tier. Let's do that.
Why not, man?
Cool.
Farooq, your predictions first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw. Yeah, I think I really just find it difficult seeing us win eventually there. I just feel like they're in red hot form. We go to their stadium, and the stadium also is a really really nice place. I've been to a game there once. Like it's a really nice because they've renovated the stadium or they built it from scratch or whatever. Anyways, like it's a new modern stadium, really nice. So I feel like, and also it's a very small one, so that compactness of the crowd will raise the atmosphere at the stadium, and it's gonna be quite hostile. Of course, like yeah, Real Madrid will survive in hostile conditions, but I do think like the form we're in, it's gonna be too much of a ask to go to Bergamo and come out with all 3 points. But I do think like a 2-2 draw will be a fair result. Hopefully, we have an interesting game.
Yeah.
Jacob, yours?
For me, I don't know, man. All bets are off because for me, we have two versions of this Real Madrid team. One that showed up against Milan, and then one that showed up against Girona. We have what it takes. The players have what it takes, but it's gonna be iffy. It can either be a 3-0 loss again or a 2-1 victory. But I'm gonna go with the 2-1. Always optimistic.
If I say a draw right now, my entire podcast should be deleted. So I say 1-3. 1-3, and we score the third one on a counter in the last dying minutes of the game.
Nice.
We cap it off. That's just being optimistic and hoping we get that result that we need.
Yeah.
I
Ashik
could be
as well,
wrong.
like he's in the chat, he says it's going to be 3-1 Real Madrid win, and Barca fans will bitch and whine about Real Madrid being favored, the usual.
Man, the club which has a Negreira case going over them with proof that they paid the referees should not be crying about other teams getting favored by the refs.
Yeah. There you go, folks. It's been a good preview, a long one. But yeah, we're going to be there for the post-match and further on. Hopefully we get a good result. And yeah, go check out Manscaped if you have the time and if you're in the market for a trimmer. It really helps out the channel. Or if you can't do that, just maybe even a like works. If you like this podcast, if you like the content, do like. Or if you don't like it, go give us a comment, ping us on our Instagrams. We'll reply and we'll sort it out. And until next time, folks, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Y nada más.